With summer officially over, the weekend of Labor Day brought us another PAX West 2023. Was something to behold. A new building, new vendors, new adventures. Fantastic new location, downtown Seattle. With this new PAX West visit, we also, of course, bring back our dev interview series. And we spoke to multiple people. And we start this series off with the developers of Fraymakers, a new game that will remind you a lot of Smash Brothers and other fighting games, but with a twist. And we'll let the developer Max Silverman talk for himself about this game as we have a listen.
Hi, my name is Max Silverman, and I'm the game designer for Fraymakers. Happy to be here.
All right, let's get started. Just introducing a bit about the game Fraymakers.
Yeah.
When it started, what was the idea behind it? How are you doing right now with the game?
Sure. So we've been working on Fraymakers for a few years now. The idea behind the game, there's two main concepts. The first is to have the ultimate indie crossover platform fighter game, kind of like the Super Smash Brothers, but for all of our favorite indie games. So we have a core cast of iconic indie characters, and you can also call assists from a gigantic list of indie characters. So when the full game comes out, we're gonna have at least 10 characters, at least 50 assists. So there's gonna be tons and tons and tons of our favorite indies represented, and you get a mix and match between characters and assists when you're fighting in the battle. The other core concept is our custom content support. So when we made Fraymakers, we created a program that we use to make all the content, and then we released that program for free alongside the game. So now we're in early access already. If you go on the Steam Workshop, you can grab hundreds and hundreds of custom content pieces that people have already made, and there's more coming out every day using our super powerful editor. So those are the two main core concepts. And then from here, we're building out a whole bunch more stuff. We're gonna have more characters, better custom content support, more modes, that kind of thing.
So you said Smash Brothers, it's that word. Clearly has a lot of inspiration from this.
Yeah.
So what sets you aside from Smash Brothers or a similar game?
Yeah, so we do kind of feel like we're in a platform fighter renaissance these days. There have been, like, over the years, some bigger attempts, but in the past few years especially, we have Rivals 2 coming out, we have like Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2 coming out, we have Smash Studio coming out, they're right down the way. So lots of cool platform fighters coming out. I think we're distinct for a few different reasons. One is our extremely detailed art style, and I'm not an artist on the game, so I get to gush about our artists without feeling too bad about myself. We have a really great art team, and we spend a lot of time on our animations. We actually have a multi-step process. First, we sketch all of our animations rough, program them in the game, test them. Then we do clean sketches, program them in the game, test them. And then after that, we start laying all the pixels. And every animation is hand-drawn, frame by frame, every single pixel, every single frame. And there's over 80 animations per character. So really, one of the things that sets apart is that we're crazy and we're willing to put such a ridiculous amount of effort into every single character. But I think at the end of the day, we like how it looks. At the end, we have to be happy with the game that we're making, and we have a passion for this type of animation. Other things that set us apart are mechanically. We have our unique assist system, which creates a lot of variety in the way that you play. Other games, you made a character and you're pretty much just using that character's kit. But in Fraymakers, even if you find your favorite guy, like say I'm an Octodad main, you can mix up the assist that you supplement your character's kit with. So it creates a new layer of strategy. We also have a lot of really cool mechanics that I don't need to get too in depth with, but for the players who really want to go to the next level and try to get as good as they can at Fraymakers, we've added a lot of the depth from other platform fighters in the genre, like your Super Smash Brothers Melee has really cool movement and that kind of thing. We wanted to make that a little bit more accessible. So we have an input buffer, and we simplified the motions to get the optimal movement stuff that you get from those cool games, but you can still pick up and play it a lot easier than you can in games that are like a little bit more geared toward a pro audience.
Obviously, you said it's the indie games. That's
Yes.
kind of your...
Oh yeah, I should also mention that indie games, obviously, or hopefully, those are a big appeal because we are all huge fans of indie games generally. Like, this game is built from the ground up because we really wanted this game to exist, just all of our favorite indie games in a really cool platform fighter. And people will come in like, I just really like Octodad, I'm gonna play Octodad. I really like Downwell, I'm gonna play Weltaro. Like, that's hopefully a big draw for people as well, that they like the games as much as we do.
You have a lot of characters you said in it already. So how's that response been from the other developers when you approach them on that? Are you initially skeptical, or are they pretty much quite on board and sold? Or
Honestly, indie developers are awesome. Like, I sometimes wonder, it must be much more difficult for other games like Smash Brothers or whatever, to like, they're approaching these big companies, there's probably a lot of red tape. For us, we just reach out to the indie developers for the most part. That's usually email, Twitter, meet them in person. There's a few who reached out to us as well. We just send them the game, tell them we love their character, talk about how we'd like to see them in Fraymakers, what they would do, and we go from there. We really have not had any bad experiences. They're great to work with. Different developers ask for different things. Some want to be really hands-on, some want to be really hands-off. But overall, it's just been a dream, honestly. It's also just personally fun for me because I'm a huge fan of all these developers. And exactly, I get an excuse to talk to them, so it's really cool for that reason too.
And so you kind of alluded to that. Do you work together to come up with these kind of moves? Or do you think about that one?
So, like I said, it depends a little bit on the developer. Some of them are just like, yeah, you can use the character, you can do whatever you want. Some of them really do want like approvals at every step in the process. They want input into like the character design. And we're happy working with both. Honestly, both ways are fine with us. We're fully confident in our ability to make a good platform fighter character. But we also, if the developers are willing to give their input, I mean, that's the dream come true, because we gotta like do something that developers will be as happy with as possible.
And then your team reanimates the whole character.
Yes. So we do all the actual assets, all animated in-house. All of our animations are actually done with our 2 core team animators, and then we have a larger team of pixel animators we send it out to. So that's why we've gotten a lot faster with our character development recently, is we've onboarded a bunch of new pixel animators doing the pixel work after we do our core team animations. So all of that is handled within our team. All the IP holders have to do is say we're okay to use the character, but they can feel free to give feedback and stuff as well.
When do you expect the full release to be?
That's a good question. Like I was just mentioning, we've gotten a lot faster recently, so we don't have like an estimate for sure. We currently, our Fish Dungeon, our newest character, which is number 5, is almost done. The full release will have at least 9 characters. That's the 1.0 release. But 1.0 is basically just a distinction of like, this is now 1.0. And then we're going to keep doing stuff after that.
And that's going to be an extreme difference between what you have now and the release of the character.
Right. So we did a crowdfunding campaign that like locked in what our 1.0 content would be. But in that crowdfunding campaign, we actually already funded at least 1 DLC character. So we're going to have the starting 9. There's going to be at least 1 DLC. And honestly, we'd love to keep working on this for a lot longer than that. It's a lot of fun working on these characters. It's like, we come from a Smash Brothers fan game background, so we've been working on platform fighter characters for over a decade, everyone on the team. So we want to keep doing this for a lot longer than that. So if everything goes right, we'll have more than those 10 characters that we already have confirmed.
Do you have any hope for tournaments and everything?
Yeah,
or is that already a thing?
Yeah, so there's actually already a tournament scene cropping up, mostly online, although there's been a few in-person tournaments as well. There's a Rivals of Ether tournament, Heatwave, had an in-person event last year, which was honestly really early. We did a tester build. The game wasn't even public yet. We gave them some copies of the game that they could do in the in-person tournament. The game was a little messier back then. There was a few overpowered tactics that now do not exist in the game anymore. But yeah, going forward, we think at this point we have a really solid base. Like all of the mechanics in the game are really tuned. The balance is significantly better for the characters. So yeah, we're expecting to see the tournament scene continue to grow.
Okay, yeah, in terms of balancing, how often do people expect to be adjustments put in the game and a patch later on?
Sure.
Do you think we're here and that's it most of the time, or do you feel there's a lot of rebalancing needed over time?
So right now we are taking a pretty hands-on approach for balancing, just because we're still like early access. Kind of the point of early access for us is to get community feedback and iterate a little bit more rapidly than we're probably going to in the future. Hopefully at some point we can get the characters pretty solid and not be constantly tweaking the numbers. It's my personal preference because I come from games where, I'm old, so the game would come out and that's all there was to the game. Then you have to hope, you have to figure out what's in front of you, right? You don't get to complain to the developer and have them change something you think is overpowered. You're just, you figure out how it is. So the goal here, we do want to support it for as long as necessary, but we'd like it to get solidified where people can really be confident that their favorite character is not going to get nerfed in 2 weeks. But for now, it's early access, so we're trying to, actively develop characters.
Yeah.
We had a really big balance patch a month and a half ago or so that kind of, there was some balance, like I said, some balance problems existed. These days, the characters are in a lot closer. The next balance focus is going to be on our assists. There's some that are way better than others, so we're going to be bringing those closer together as well. We're just kind of taking an active role, only for the time being, though.
Okay. Now, you already mentioned you're really proud of the artwork.
Yes.
What is another thing that you are really proud of the game mechanically, or maybe some other feature that you have? That's for me, the big achievement of what we had with this game so far.
So now I'm going to brag about the other side of the development, which is our engineering side. So like I mentioned, we did a Smash Brothers fan game before this, which was coded in Adobe Flash since we started in like 2007. So that was all that was around back then.
Yeah.
Adobe Flash has a lot of advantages. One of the main advantages is the timeline-based frame-by-frame structure is really intuitive for coding animations. Like our artists can go straight in there, drop their animations in, and have them working a game with very little difficulty, which is something you don't get in a lot of other engines. However, Adobe Flash, as we all know, is discontinued and has a lot of problems anyway. So what we did for this game is we wanted that same workflow, but in something without all the baggage that Adobe Flash carried. So one of our engineers was basically in the mines working on our custom content creator for probably like a year's worth of time. It was his main focus. He got this thing. It's one of the greatest custom content programs that I've ever used. Like for me, I didn't work on it at all until like way later in the development process. So it's just a dream to be able to use this custom content creator. It's way better than Adobe Flash, way better than anything else, just because it was built from the ground up for this specific purpose. So going in there and creating a character assist, a stage, or a mode, super, super easy, super clean, easy to pick up, and it is super powerful too. We worked a lot on the design of it, but I honestly have to give credit to Greg. He's not here right now, but he's really the mastermind behind the whole custom content thing. And it's fun working with the community and seeing the incredible stuff they come up with already, even in the early stage of early access. There's really cool stuff on the Steam Workshop, and all the credit goes to Greg for just like really doing an amazing custom content creation program.
All right, so everybody could check it out on Steam right now. It's how much does it cost?
So it's $20 on Steam right now.
Okay, any demos, or is it?
Not for the time being. Perhaps in the future we might like take part in some of those Steam events and things like that. For now, it's just $20 gets you early access on Steam.
For those that are not lucky, is Steam Deck compatible?
Well, that's a good question actually. We have like a yellow check mark right now. We are trying it out, and it seems there's like one issue with the triggers, but aside from that, everything seems to work. So it'll probably we'll have the green
get there even.
Yeah, so the game basically works. We'll have the green check mark soon. That's gonna be like one of our next projects, just so we can get it, because we actually have a pretty high percentage, higher than we were expecting for Steam Deck. It's like 5+% of our player base is on Steam Deck Linux. So obviously that needs to be a focus for us so people can use their shield buttons properly.
Right, yeah.
But other than that, it should be like any second now we'll get the green check mark. It basically worked right out of the box for us.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you very much. If there's anything last minute you want to share to your chats, and other than that, I think we covered pretty much everything.
No, I think we pretty much covered the whole of it. Thanks so much for taking the time out to interview me.
Yes.
Again, my name is Max. I love talking about Fraymakers. You don't need to follow me on any social media or anything. Just follow Fraymakers Game on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. We are Fraymakers on TikTok, but you'll be able to find us wherever it is. I'd love to talk to anybody who listens to this. Ask me any questions you like about Fraymakers. It's my favorite thing in the world to talk about. So hope to hear from you guys soon.